Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next half an hour. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets US Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington after tariff reduction announcement ahead of critical minerals ministerial meet. On the eve of peace talks, Russia hits Ukraine's battered energy facilities, leaving thousands without heating in glacial temperatures. Unbeaten India all set to face Afghanistan in the semi-finals of ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup in Harare. Good afternoon to all the viewers joining us at this afternoon broadcast. To begin with the latest, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the sidelines of critical minerals ministerial meeting. The External Affairs Minister expressed his happiness at meeting Marco Rubio. There were wide-ranging conversations that covered bilateral cooperation agenda, regional and global issues as well. Facets of India-US strategic partnership were also discussed, including trade, energy, nuclear, defense, critical minerals and technology. Both the leaders agreed on the early meetings of various mechanisms to advance the shared interests of both the countries. Dr. S. Jaishankar is in the United States to take part in the Critical Minerals Ministerial meeting, which will focus on supply chain resilience, clean energy transitions, and strategic cooperation in critical minerals. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in Washington, D.C. today. Both the leaders held a useful discussion on the advancement of India-US economic partnership and strategic cooperation. In a pivotal moment for bilateral ties and global commerce, tariff on Indian exports to the United States will be reduced significantly, providing much-needed relief for India's labor-intensive sectors. Now, this move bolsters India's exports to its top market and advances New Delhi's $1 trillion export target amid rising global protectionism. Our next report gets you more details. Take a look.
India and the United States have announced a significant tariff reduction on Indian exports, slashing rates to 18%. Easing months of trade tensions and igniting optimism across India's manufacturing sector, stock exchanges and investor circles. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared the news on X and he said, "Wonderful to speak with my dear friend President Trump today. Delighted that Made in India products will now have a reduced tariff of 18%. Big thanks to President Trump on behalf of 1.4 billion people of India for this wonderful announcement." At 18%, the headline tariff positions India favorably against ASEAN nations like Thailand, Indonesia and Vietnam, which are facing up to 19 to 20% tariff. This not only improves US market access for Indian goods in pharmaceuticals, textiles and engineering, but it also removes prior uncertainties from punitive tariffs imposed last year. India-US bilateral trade reached approximately $212.3 billion in 2024, with US exports to India at $83.3 billion.
Let's now go live across to the Parliament, where Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is addressing the parliamentarians.
नियमित रूप से चर्चा करते रहे हैं। इसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए दोनों पक्ष के वार्ताकारों ने पिछले एक वर्ष में विभिन्न स्तरों पर गहन बातचीत की है। दोनों पक्षों के महत्वपूर्ण और विविध हितों को देखते हुए यह स्वाभाविक है कि दोनों पक्ष अपनी अपनी अर्थव्यवस्थाओं के महत्वपूर्ण और संवेदनशील क्षेत्रों की रक्षा करते हुए सर्वोत्तम संभव परिणाम सुनिश्चित करना चाहेंगे। इन वार्ताओं के दौरान भारतीय पक्ष अपने संवेदनशील क्षेत्रों, विशेषकर कृषि और दुग्ध क्षेत्रों के हितों की रक्षा सुनिश्चित करने में सफल रहा है। अमेरिकी पक्ष के भी कुछ ऐसे क्षेत्र थे जो उनके दृष्टिकोण से संवेदनशील थे। लगभग 1 वर्ष तक चले कई दौर के विचार विमर्श के बाद दोनों वार्ताकार दल द्विपक्षीय व्यापार समझौते के कई क्षेत्रों को अंतिम रूप देने में सफल रहे। 2 फरवरी 2026 को प्रधानमंत्री जी और अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने द्विपक्षीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महत्व के कई मुद्दों पर फोन पर चर्चा की। इसके बाद राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने अमेरिका को किए जाने वाले भारतीय निर्यात की दर घटाकर 18% करने की घोषणा की। मैं इस बात पर जोर देना चाहता हूं कि यह अमेरिका द्वारा कई प्रतिस्पर्धी देशों पर लगाए गए टैरिफ से कम है, जिससे अमेरिकी बाजार में भारत की निर्यात प्रतिस्पर्धात्मकता में वृद्धि होगी। यह समझौता भारतीय निर्यातकों को विशेष रूप से श्रम प्रधान क्षेत्रों और विनिर्माण में महत्वपूर्ण तुलनात्मक लाभ भी प्रदान करता है। मैं इस सम्मानित सदन के समक्ष यह दोहराना चाहता हूं कि खाद्य और कृषि क्षेत्र में भारत की प्रमुख संवेदनशीलता का पूर्णतः ध्यान रखा गया है। साथ ही यह साझेदारी लघु और मध्यम उद्यमी, MSMEs, उद्यमियों, कुशल श्रमिकों और उद्योग के लिए नए अवसर खोलेगी। उन्नत प्रौद्योगिकियों तक पहुंच का सुगम बनाएगी और भारत के मेक इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड, डिजाइन इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड और इनोवेट इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड के दृष्टिकोण को साकार करने में सहायक होगी। यह ऐतिहासिक ढांचागत समझौता भारत अमेरिका संबंधों को मजबूत करने और विकसित भारत 2047 की दिशा में हमारी यात्रा को आगे बढ़ाने की दिशा में एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम है और यह दुनिया के 2 सबसे बड़े लोकतांत्रिक देशों के बीच मजबूत जुड़ाव को भी दर्शाता है, जो स्वाभाविक साझेदार है और साझा समृद्धि के लिए मिलकर काम कर रहे हैं। मैं माननीय सदस्यों को सूचित करना चाहता हूं कि आगे की कार्रवाई के संदर्भ में दोनों पक्ष व्यापार समझौते से संबंधित आवश्यक तकनीकी प्रक्रियाओं को पूरा करने और कागजी कार्रवाई को अंतिम रूप देने के लिए मिलकर काम करेंगे ताकि इसकी पूरी क्षमता का शीघ्रता से लाभ उठाया जा सके। समझौते की विस्तृत रूपरेखा इन प्रक्रियाओं के समापन के पश्चात तुरंत घोषित की जाएगी। माननीय सदस्यों को भारत के ऊर्जा स्रोतों से संबंधित उन मुद्दों की जानकारी होगी जो इस समझौते पर हुई चर्चाओं के दौरान उठाए गए हैं। मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, जैसा कि सरकार ने कई बार सार्वजनिक रूप से कहा है कि 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की ऊर्जा आवश्यकताओं की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करना सरकार की सर्वोत्तम प्राथमिकता है। वस्तुनिष्ठ बाजार स्थितियों और बदलते अंतर्राष्ट्रीय परिदृश्यों के अनुरूप ऊर्जा स्रोतों में विविधता लाना हमारी इस कार्यनीति का मूल आधार है। भारत की सभी कार्रवाइयां इसी बात को ध्यान में रखकर की जाती हैं। अतः मैं माननीय सदस्यों से इन मुद्दों को समुचित दृष्टिकोण से देखने का आग्रह करता हूं। दोनों देशों के बीच भावी व्यापार अवसरों के संदर्भ में माननीय सदस्यगण इस बात को समझेंगे कि भारत और अमेरिका काफी हद तक एक दूसरे की पूरक अर्थव्यवस्थाएं हैं। जैसे जैसे भारत विकसित भारत के पथ पर अग्रसर हो रहा है, हमें ऊर्जा, विमानन, डेटा केंद्र, परमाणु ऊर्जा आदि सहित कई क्षेत्रों में अपनी क्षमताओं को बढ़ाने की आवश्यकता होगी। अमेरिका इन क्षेत्रों में दुनिया का अग्रणी देश है, इसलिए हमारे लिए इन क्षेत्रों में व्यापार की संभावनाओं पर ध्यान केंद्रित करना स्वाभाविक है, जिससे न केवल हमारी खरीद में बल्कि हमारे अपने निर्यात में भी विस्तार होगा। हमारा अनुमान है कि तुलनात्मक लाभ के परिणाम स्वरूप कई क्षेत्रों में भारत का निर्यात अमेरिका में भी काफी बढ़ेगा। विश्व की सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था के साथ यह ढांचागत समझौता जो आने वाले वर्षों में वैश्विक विकास और नवाचार को गति प्रदान करेगा, भारत की जनता एवं राष्ट्र के व्यापक हित में है और देश को बहुत लाभ देगा। यह विकसित भारत और आत्मनिर्भर भारत दोनों को सशक्त बनाता है। हम अपने देश के लिए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के इस दृष्टिकोण को साकार करने की दिशा में निरंतर कार्य करते रहेंगे। धन्यवाद
माननीय सदस्यगण,
So there you heard Union Commerce and Industry Minister addressing the parliamentarians during the ongoing budget session in the Lok Sabha. Well, at the India-US trade development, the minister said that the interest of farmers and traders have been safeguarded and Made in India products is set to get a major boost through this deal. MSME and entrepreneurs will also get new opportunities through this and will definitely give a boost to Make in India, Design in India and Innovate for the World initiative of the government. And he said that this will further take India closer to its aim of becoming a developed nation by the year 2047. And still to come on the other side of this bulletin. India marks historic spiritual milestone by sending the sacred Devnimori relics of Lord Buddha to Sri Lanka. Ethiopia's economy is expected to grow by 10.2% in 2025-26 fiscal year, says Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. In sports, Arsenal reaches League Cup final for the first time in 8 years.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Well, Ukraine accused Russia on Tuesday of violating an agreement with Donald Trump to hold off striking Ukraine's energy systems in the depths of a freezing winter as its forces carried out large-scale airstrikes on Kyiv. In his nightly video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine was waiting for US's reaction to Russian strikes that caused further damage to Ukraine's energy infrastructure. while Ukrainian Energy Minister Denis Shamal said that a power plant in Kyiv's eastern suburbs had been seriously damaged, prompting officials to redirect resources to restoring heat to thousands of the residents. The attack came a day before Ukrainian and Russian negotiators were due to meet for a second round of a US brokered talk in Abu Dhabi.
Ми очікуємо на реакцію Сполучених Штатів Америки на російський удар.
We expect a response from the United States on the Russian strikes. It was America's proposal to stop strikes on energy infrastructure during diplomatic efforts and the cold winter period. This request was made personally by the President of the United States. We see that Russia responded to this request with a record use of ballistic weapons. Not even 4 days have passed from the week that Russia was asked to observe. This also says a lot about everything else Russia promises or may promise. If their word is not kept now, what can be expected later? They lied before this war, and Russia started the full-scale war trying to deceive everyone about its intentions and about Ukraine.
Таких домовленостях з Америкою.
Following the Moscow strikes on Kyiv, US President Donald Trump on Tuesday urged Russian President Vladimir Putin to end the nearly 4-year Ukraine conflict. During a briefing in Oval Office, asked if he was disappointed with Putin, Trump said that Putin kept his word with what he said was a halt in strikes from Sunday till Sunday. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte on Tuesday inspected a Kyiv thermal power plant damaged in Russian strikes. During the visit, Ukrainian Energy Minister showed Rutte the damage inflicted on the thermal power plant. Shamal said that plant in Donetsk had been used strictly for providing heating for people and was heavily damaged. He also described the problems facing Ukraine's energy system as serious and said repairs would take a considerable time. Lithuania's armed forces held live-fire drills with HIMARS rocket artillery systems on Tuesday as part of preparations to integrate the advanced weapons into their military structure. The army, in a statement, said the 2-day exercises conducted with US soldiers targeted areas in the Baltic Sea using HIMARS systems expected to be delivered to Lithuania later this year. During the drills, rockets were launched over the Curonian Lagoon and Curonian Spit, landing about 15 kilometers from the firing site in the Baltic Sea, the army further confirmed. Now, Lithuania is set to acquire 8 HIMARS launchers equipped with combat and training ammunition, including ATA-CMS systems capable of striking targets of up to 300 kilometers away. Lithuanian troops have been training intensively to operate and maintain HIMARS systems since September last year, supported by the US Army. The man convicted of assassinating former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has lodged an appeal against his life sentence on Wednesday. Tetsuya Yamagami, who was found guilty 2 weeks ago at the Nara District Court for fatally shooting Abe with a homemade firearm during a campaign rally in July 2022, is now seeking to overturn the ruling. The case will proceed to the Osaka High Court, though the timeline for hearings has not yet been announced. Abe's killing shocked Japan, a nation with minimal exposure to gun violence, and sparked intense debate over political ties to the Unification Church, a controversial religious group that Yamagami blamed for his family's financial ruin. Sri Lanka is celebrating its 78th National Day today. The official celebrations are underway at Independence Square in Colombo, featuring a military parade, cultural performances and a special address by President Anurakumara Dissanayake. In his National Day address, President emphasized that the next foremost objective for the island is to ensure that the macroeconomic gains achieved so far flow to the communities of all the ethnicities across all provinces of Sri Lanka. And on Sri Lanka's National Day, India has marked a historic spiritual milestone by sending the sacred Devni Mori relics of Lord Buddha abroad for the first ever international exposition. The holy relics will be enshrined at Colombo's revered Gangaramaya temple from today until the 10th of February, where thousands of devotees are expected to gather for veneration. The holy relics originate from Devnimori archaeological site in Gujarat's Aravali district. These are enshrined at the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda in Vadodara. This journey not only showcases India's rich Buddhist heritage to the world, but also undertakes profound gesture of spiritual outreach and cultural diplomacy towards Sri Lanka.
On 4th of February, the Devnimori relics of Lord Buddha will be taken to Sri Lanka. This was an announcement of our Honorable Prime Minister during his visit to Sri Lanka, and they will be going out of the country for the first time. Both the son and daughter of Ashoka went to Sri Lanka with the Bodhi sapling as well as the message of Lord Buddha. So this exchange will actually be extending our friendship with Sri Lanka. We are hoping that lakhs and lakhs of devotees in Sri Lanka will get a chance to feel the presence of Lord Buddha and to bask in the glory of his message.
Anwar Gargash, the diplomatic advisor to the President of the United Arab Emirates, said at the World Government Summit in Dubai that the relationship between the United States and China is a key indicator of global stability. He noted that if the US-China relationship is handled carefully, it can act as a stabilizing force globally. He also stressed the continued importance of nuclear arms control, calling for renewed dialogue and agreements, and said the frameworks developed in the 70s and 80s remain relevant even today.
The relationship between the United States and China is a major indicative issue for all of us. Managing that relationship is important. Recent, for example, discussion about nuclear weapons remains, I think, very much tangible. I mean, the way that nuclear weapons have been controlled in the 70s and 80s through a series of discussions and agreements, I think we should address that.
Ethiopia's economy is expected to grow by 10.2% in 2025-26 fiscal year, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said on Tuesday, exceeding the Finance Ministry's earlier forecast of 8.9%. Speaking in the Parliament, Abiy said economic performances has been stronger than anticipated halfway through the year, supported by reforms under an IMF-backed program. He told the lawmakers that maintaining the same level of focus and effort over the next 6 months could deliver even better results.
When you add up the results we registered in various sectors in the results, we registered in the macroeconomic activities, we will secure a 10.2% growth, and that is even a very conservative one. If we work day and night in the next 6 months without distractions, just like the past 6 months, the results might even be better than that.
The Bangladesh Garment Manufacturers and Exporters Association has warned that the country's ready-made garment sector is facing growing instability, with many factories at risk of closure unless urgent banking support is provided. BGMEA said nearly 400 garment factories have shut down over the past year due to rising production costs, lower product prices and a decline in work orders. Now, to ease the crisis, BGMEA called for faster release of pending cash support through Lion Banks and Bangladesh Bank and requested soft loans equivalent to 6 months' wages to help the factories meet salary and allowance payments. Moving on. Well, today is World Cancer Day to raise global awareness about cancer and promote prevention, early detection and treatment. The day focuses on reducing illness and deaths caused by cancer by encouraging collective action and equitable access to care. The theme for 2025-27, United by Unique, highlights that every cancer journey is different, yet people across the world remain united in the fight against cancer. And now let's get you updates from the world of sports. To begin with cricket, unbeaten and well-rounded India will face Afghanistan in the semi-finals of the ICC Under-19 World Cup today. The Indian team is the most successful side in the competition's history, having lifted the trophy 5 times ahead of Australia, who have claimed 4 titles. India have enjoyed dominant campaign, winning all 5 of their matches comfortably, including a 58-run victory over Pakistan in the Super 6 stage. Based on current form and squad strength, India are expected to hold the upper hand and move a step closer to a record 6th victory. In soccer, Arsenal reached the League Cup final for the first time in 8 years as Kai Havertz sealed a 1-0 victory against Chelsea in the semi-final second leg. Mikel Arteta's side had put themselves in pole position in the first leg, and Havertz came off the bench to finish the 4-2 aggregate victory in the closing moments. It was a cathartic triumph for the Gunners, who had lost their previous 4 semi-finals in 2025 Champions League and League Cup, the 2022 League Cup and 2021 Europa League. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on the Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.